Emmanuel Macron says France will provide Ukraine with French-made fighter jets.
President Emmanuel Macron says France will send fighter jets to Kiev and train thousands of soldiers to help the country repel Russia's invasion.
Ont lancé une nouvelle coopération et annoncé la cession de Mirage 2000-5, qui sont des avions de combat français qui permettront à l'Ukraine.
Ukraine needs all the help it can get in nearly 3 years of war. Russia's aerial bombardments and drone attacks have put the Kiev government under a lot of pressure. That's why the army lacks air power, so the Ukrainians need fighter jets to carry out retaliatory strikes against Russia. Although F-16 fighter jets have arrived, the Ukrainian Air Force's fleet so far has very few Western fighter jets. Ukraine received its first F-16 jets last summer. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked the Netherlands, Denmark and the United States, where the F-16 jets were manufactured, for the aircraft, but did not say how many were delivered. Flight Global's list of the world's fighter jets shows that at the beginning of this year, Ukraine had 2 F-16 jets in its fleet and 58 on order. This shortfall is of course causing concern in the West. The European Union and North Atlantic Treaty Organization member states are working hard to ensure that the Ukrainian military has more fighter jets. There is even a group ensuring that innovations in this area continue. But since Ukraine urgently needs to have a fleet of fighter jets right now, the Kiev government has been waiting for more concrete steps in recent days. Finally, the news Kiev has been waiting for came from France. The Paris government announced that the Ukrainian armed forces will receive a large number of fighter jets. Now we will discover all the details of this critical announcement. Which fighter jets France will send to Ukraine and how many of them. We will also assess what impact these jets will have on Russia. But first of all, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications and give us a like so that you can stay up to date with our content. Let's get started. French Armed Forces Minister Sébastien Lecornu announced that Ukraine has received the first Mirage 2000 fighter jets promised by the Paris government. This stunning announcement created a bombshell on the world agenda. This delivery meant that the country would have a second type of Western aircraft in addition to the F-16 jets delivered by the Allies last year. According to a budget report from the French National Assembly, 6 of the 26 Mirage 2005 jets of the French Air Force were allocated to Ukraine. 20 jets are planned to be sent in the future. The 6 Mirage 2000 jets arrived with Ukrainian pilots after months of training in France. The first delivery to Ukraine is a batch of 3 aircraft equipped with MBDA's MICA air-to-air missiles and SCALP cruise missiles, as well as Safran's AASM Hammer guided bombs. The Mirage fighter jets sent to Ukraine are equipped with 2 30mm cannons and 9 fixed points, French media reported. The French Minister of Armed Forces, Sébastien Lecornu, conveyed the good news to Kiev that Mirage jets with all these powerful features will now participate in the defense of the Ukrainian skies. The Ukrainian Ministry of Defense posted on social media an image of a Mirage 2000 taking off, decorated with the colours of the Ukrainian flag. This image was probably a clear message of intimidation to Russia. In the background of the intimidation message, there is information that these jets carry some deterrent features. One of the major advantages of flying Western jets is their ability to interface with North Atlantic Treaty Organization munitions such as SCALP or Storm Shadow air-launched cruise missiles and guided bombs, as well as with older air-to-air missiles that most of Ukraine's allies have in stock. Mirage 2000 fighter jets are also known to be capable of using missiles such as SCALP and Hammer. The Mirage 2005 is an air superiority version, and Ukrainian jets were being upgraded with new equipment for air-ground combat and defense against electronic warfare. Lecornu had already shared this data in October 2024. So, when were these fighter jets sent to Ukraine first used? What are their main characteristics? And which countries have Mirage 2000s? The Mirage 2000 made its first flight in 1978, and the air defense version joined the French forces in 1984. Dassault Aviation reports that it has produced 600 of these fighter jets, almost half of which have been exported to 8 countries. including Brazil, the United Arab Emirates, Greece, and Taiwan. According to Dassault Aviation's data, the jet has a combat mass of 9.5 tons, a maximum takeoff weight of 17.5 tons, and a maximum speed of more than Mach 2.2. In addition, these fighter jets can remain on duty for 2 hours and 40 minutes at a distance of 150 nautical miles from the takeoff base. The cost of flying Mirage fighter jets is also a very important issue. According to a French Senate report in October, the operating cost of a French Mirage 2000 is estimated at around €17,000 per flight hour. A 2022 report by the United States Government Accountability Office found an operating cost of about $27,000 per flight hour for the F-16 in 2020. Based on this data, the French Mirages are thought to be more cost-effective for Ukraine. Military experts believe that Mirages can take off faster than F-16 jets. This means that the Ukrainians will have a significant fleet of fighter jets at an affordable operating cost. Ukrainian officials are very happy to receive these jets. Defense Minister Rustem Umerov says that the skies over Ukraine could become safer. He welcomed the arrival of the first French Mirage 2000 fighter jets and F-16 jets from the Kingdom of the Netherlands, stressing that these jets will soon start performing combat missions, strengthening defences and increasing the ability to effectively counter Russian aggression. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked French President Emmanuel Macron for the Mirage 2000 fighter jets. Zelensky added that the French president kept his promise and that he was very pleased with this situation. So how will the French, who have pleased the Ukrainians, replace the Mirage 2000 fighter jets they have sent and plan to send? While France is gradually replacing its Mirage fleet with Dassault Aviation's Rafales, the country plans to retire the Mirage 2005 in 2029 and the Mirage 2000D in 2035. French Armed Forces Minister Sébastien Lecornu reported that the Parliament gave final approval to the French 2025 budget, and defence spending increased by €3.3 billion compared to last year to €50.5 billion. Major deliveries to the French Armed Forces this year will include 14 Rafale jets, 308 vehicles in the Scorpion programme, and a large number of Aster air defence missiles. According to Lecornu, this increased budget, which is essential for rearmament, will allow France to modernise its nuclear deterrent, improve the salaries of soldiers in the country's military, and place the first orders for a new generation aircraft carrier. In other words, France will provide aid to Ukraine and at the same time modernise its air force. Kiev is quite satisfied with such military and diplomatic policies of the Paris government. In particular, French President Emmanuel Macron's recent tough anti-Russian policies and his military and financial support for the Ukrainian army have given Kiev great hope. Macron has repeatedly raised the hopes of Ukrainians with the military support packages he has provided to Kiev. In total, French military equipment delivered to Ukraine is worth €2.6 billion. France has also contributed €1.2 billion to the European Peace Facility. Overall, this amounts to more than €3.8 billion between February 24, 2022 and December 31, 2023. In 2024, France's assistance to Ukraine continued to be intensive. The Paris government has also taken subtle steps to consider the borders of Eastern Europe. France is contributing to the security of Europe's eastern flank by deploying ground troops in Romania as a framework country and in Estonia, rotational air assets in Lithuania and from mainland France, and a permanent naval presence in the Baltic and the Mediterranean. Alongside this international military effort, France has also provided training for Ukrainian troops. Around 10,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been trained by the French military in Poland and France. France has also undertaken the mission to train the Kievskaya Brigade. The Paris government will provide the brigade with armoured vehicles, self-propelled guns and other equipment. Thanks to French assistance, the brigade will be fully prepared to carry out combat missions. The brigade, named Kievskaya, will receive 128 frontline armoured vehicles, 18 Caesar cannons, more than 18 AMX-10 vehicles, 20 Milan anti-tank missile launchers, and 10 large TRM military trucks designed for support missions in difficult terrain, French officials said, providing additional details. A fully mechanised brigade can cost between $1 billion and $3 billion, depending on the equipment it carries. If, of the big four countries, the United States, France, Germany and the United Kingdom commit to train and equip just one brigade every 6 months, Ukraine could get 8 brigades within 12 months. For each country, this would amount to a total cost of around $6 billion. However, the training capacity itself would be a powerful deterrent against Putin's war plans. So Ukrainian brigades, like Kievskaya, equipped with a large number of Western military equipment, could become Russia's worst nightmare. In addition to supporting Ukraine's military brigades, France is also making significant achievements in the arms industry in order to further deter Russia. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute's latest analysis of arms transfers, the big winners in the global arms race are the United States and France, while Russia's arms transfers have fallen sharply. France, the European Union's arms giant, has increased its share of the export market from 7.2% in the previous 5-year period to 11%, thanks to its efforts to penetrate regions dominated by Russia, such as India. Moscow's share of global arms exports fell from 21% to around 11%, just below France. With a 93% drop, Russia has been eclipsed in the list of arms export figures. This is one of the most alarming examples of Russia's losses since the Soviet era. Peter Weisemann, a senior researcher at SIPRI, stated that the decline in Russian arms exports began before the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Peter Weisemann also emphasized that this decline extends to 2019, but that sanctions related to Moscow's brutal war against Ukraine seem to have contributed more to the increase in French arms exports. Putin must not have learned any lessons from all this data, as the occupation of Ukraine is still going on despite massive military losses by the Russian army. In fact, research on arms exports reveals very clear realities that even Putin can see. The study compared the period from 2019 to 2023 with the period from 2014 to 2018, and the data revealed that the global volume of international arms transfers fell by 3.3%. But we cannot deny that sales in Europe have increased sharply. In this regard, France has shocked Russia and seriously shaken Putin. France is second only to the United States, whose share of global arms exports has risen from 34% to 42%. France's rise in the ranking is thanks to the important deals Dassault Aviation has made with countries such as Qatar, Egypt, and India for the Rafale fighter jet. In recent years, India, Egypt, and Indonesia have preferred French fighter jets in competitions involving Russian alternatives. Experts say that French exports are technically attractive and deliveries are usually fast. Arms export figures are driven by defence spending. This has also been a recent focus for France. The Paris government seems to have bypassed Moscow by taking into account the defence expenditures of countries. This attitude of France has worked particularly well on India. India is the world's largest arms importer, contributing the most to France's arms exports. 33% of its imports come from France and 36% from Russia. India's arms imports from Russia increased by 4.7% between 2014-18 and 2019-23. While Russia remains India's main arms supplier, this was the first 5-year period since 1964, when deliveries from Russia accounted for less than half of India's arms imports. The situation is expected to change in favour of France today, and the arms export-import relationship between the two countries is expected to grow steadily in the coming days. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was the guest of honour at last year's Bastille Day celebrations. The two countries pledged to strengthen defence industry ties in January after France sold 26 Rafale marine fighter jets and 3 Scorpène-class military submarines to New Delhi last summer. Such steps would push Russia much further back in the arms export ties with India. So France has gradually managed to take Russia's share of arms exports in India. Most European countries are also increasing their defence spending, just like India. With North Atlantic Treaty Organisation countries meeting the alliance's minimum requirement of allocating 2% of their gross domestic product to defence spending, more money is being spent on arms. European states' arms imports were 94% higher in 2019-23 than in 2014-18. Ukraine emerged as the largest arms importer in Europe and the fourth largest in the world in 2019-23, after at least 30 states provided large arms to Ukraine as military aid from February 2022. In addition to Ukraine, the SIPRI figures also reveal that other European actors are becoming increasingly dependent on arms imports. In the last 5 years, 55% of arms imports have come from across the Atlantic, compared to 35% in the period before that. The second largest suppliers to the region were Germany and France, importing 6.4% and 4.6% respectively. Orders are steadily increasing, including for around 800 fighter jets and combat helicopters. Despite performing quite well in non-European markets, less than a tenth of its exports go to European buyers, with more than half of that coming from 17 Rafale aircraft sold to Greece. About 37% of major arms transfers in 2019, 23 went to countries in Asia and Oceania, the largest share of any region, but a slight decline from 41% in 2014-18. Despite an overall 12% decline in arms imports for the region, imports by a few countries rose markedly. China's own arms imports, on the other hand, fell by 44%, mostly as a result of replacing imported weapons from Russia with locally produced systems. In contrast to China, the arms imports of two of its East Asian neighbours increased. Japan's arms imports increased by 155% and South Korea's by 6.5%. The United States became the largest arms supplier to Asia and Oceania for the first time in 25 years. The United States accounted for 34% of the region's arms imports, compared to 19% for Russia and 13% for China. This was the second piece of bad news for Russia. After France, Russia was also below the United States. It was already predicted that the United States would maintain its leadership in this regard. Very important moves are expected from the United States in terms of arms exports in the coming period. Likewise, France is expected to take new steps in military fields with its 2025 budget. For the first time since 1997, France is exploring the development of a new land-based ballistic missile with a range exceeding 1,000 kilometers. This development reflects the growing global reliance on ballistic missiles, which have proven effective in various conflicts. The proposed missile aims to fill a gap in France's capabilities, as current ballistic missile systems are exclusively submarine-based and designed for nuclear deterrence. France currently lacks land-based ballistic missile capabilities. Its only ballistic missile, the submarine-launched M51, serves as a nuclear deterrent. Discussions between the French Armed Forces and the Directorate General of Armaments have focused on creating a land-based missile system that can be operated from mobile platforms such as trucks. Early design concepts indicate that the missile could have terminal phase maneuverability similar to other advanced systems, making it more difficult for enemy defences to intercept it. The effectiveness of such ballistic missiles has been clearly demonstrated in recent conflicts. For example, Ukraine's interception rate of Russia's Iskander-M missiles was only 4.3%, while Iran's attacks on Israel have demonstrated the limitations of advanced systems such as Iron Dome and David's Sling against large-scale attacks. This new French programme, launched in response to other countries' efforts, differs from France's long-range land strike initiative, which focuses on developing rocket artillery replacements with a range of up to 150 kilometres. As we mentioned, the proposed ballistic missile would exceed 1,000 kilometres and would offer additional strategic options for deep strikes in conflicts. However, funding remains a major challenge. as France's military budget is already allocated to high-priority projects such as M51 missile upgrades and the development of the ASN-4G air-launched nuclear missile. This potential project could also be in line with the European long-range strike approach, a collaborative initiative involving Germany, Italy, Poland, the United Kingdom and Sweden. If developed, the missile would increase France's strategic offensive capacity, complementing existing capabilities such as Rafale jets and cruise missiles. In short, taking all these data into account, we understand that France is both providing military support to Ukraine and increasing its share of arms exports against competitors such as Russia, which poses a significant risk factor. At the same time, France is strengthening its national military capabilities through moves such as its ballistic missile program. The Paris government is performing an incredible mission by supporting Ukraine's independence vis-à-vis Russia, while at the same time preparing for a bigger war in the future. We can expect more critical military actions from France in the coming days. Thank you for watching.